When we hear the term Wahdat al-Wujud, what comes to our mind is the figure of Ibn Arabi because it has always been attached to him so often. We assume that Wahdat al-Wujud is historically a technical term that emerged directly from the mouth of Ibn Arabi or is scattered in his writings. Nonetheless, let's investigate whether it's true or not. Although Wahdat al-Wujud is often attributed to Ibn Arabi both doctrinally and terminologically, a similar doctrine actually had existed long before Ibn Arabi's life. The phrase Wahdat al-Wujud is taken from two words, Wahdat and Wujud. Tawhid as the basic teaching of Islam is linguistically derived from the same root as Wahdat. Tawhid, or a statement that God is one, is usually expressed in the statement there is no God but God, or in Arabic La ilaha illallah, which is also included in the Shahada, or to give witness that there is no God but God. But 2 centuries after the advent of Islam, one of the famous Sufis in Baghdad, Ma'ruf al-Qarhi, 4 centuries before Ibn Arabi, expressed the statement of Tawhid by saying, there is nothing in existence in Wujud save God. 2 centuries after Ma'ruf al-Qarhi, in the 4th Hijrah or 10th century, Abul Abbas al-Qassab also stated a similar expression, there is nothing in the world save my Lord. Everything that exists, everything other than his being, is non-existent. A century later, Abdul al-Ansari, a Persian Sufi, asserted that Tawhid of the elect is there is nothing but him. So if we ask him what is Tawhid, Ansari replied, God, nothing else. The other is folly. In the era of Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, the term wujud was often used to elucidate the meaning of Tawhid itself. On one occasion, when explaining the fruits of the spiritual ascent of the Sufis, al-Ghazali states, the Sufis see through the direct witness that there is nothing in wujud save God. And then he quotes the verse of the Quran, all things perish except his face. On another occasion, he asserted wujud belongs only to al-Haq. We can see here that Wahdat al-Wujud as a teaching and spiritual experience had been put forward by the Sufis before Ibn Arabi. Nonetheless, there was not any Sufi who stated the term Wahdat al-Wujud explicitly, let alone used it as a technical term for philosophical system or cosmological view. In the study of Sufism, scholars previously didn't bother with the issue whether the term Wahdat al-Wujud ascribed to Ibn Arabi for centuries was explicitly stated by Ibn Arabi himself or not. In the second half of the 20th century, scholars began to set out to investigate this issue. As far as I can find, the scholar who first suggested that the term was not from Ibn Arabi was Ibrahim Madkur, an Egyptian philologist. He stated it on the day of the 800th anniversary of the birth of Ibn Arabi held in Cairo in 1965. It was also emphasized by Landolt that the term Wahdat al-Wujud actually never appeared in Ibn Arabi's own writings. Ibrahim Madkur stated that the term Wahdat al-Wujud actually first appeared historically in the writings of Ibn Taymiyyah, which was later affirmed by another scholar, Su'ad Hakim. According to Chitik, the followers or the proponents of Ibn Arabi, or the commentators on Ibn Arabi's magnum opus, Fususul Hikam, the Bezels of Wisdom, who were contemporaries of Ibn Taymiyyah, such as Abdul Razak al-Koshani and Sharafuddin al-Qaisari, scarcely mention the term Wahdat al-Wujud, much less using it as a technical term referring to the teachings of Ibn Arabi. Ibn Taymiyyah, a reformer and critic of Sufism as well as a strong critic of Ibn Arabi, was a figure who played a major role in popularizing the term Wahdat al-Wujud. Ibn Taymiyyah explicitly uses the term Wahdat al-Wujud in the titles of his book's chapter, Ibtal Wahdat al-Wujud, demonstrating the falsity of Wahdat al-Wujud, Risala ila man sa'alahu an haqiqat madhab al-ittihadiyin ay al-qailin bi wahdatil wujud. A treatise to those asked about the reality of the unificationists, that is, those who support Wahdat al-Wujud. Ibn Taymiyyah there seems to equate Wahdat al-Wujud with ittihad, unificationism, and even often adds the term hulul, incarnationism, as a second near synonym. He also often uses the term Wahdat al-Wujud in his other passages to show the heresy of this teaching. As for this, Ibn Taymiyyah states, regarding the faith of God, they consider that the wujud of God is identical with the wujud of the cosmos and that the cosmos itself has no creator other than itself. Regarding the prophets, they think that they have more knowledge of God than the messengers and prophets. Some claim to take knowledge of God, that is, Wahdat al-Wujud and atheism, from the prophet's lamp. According to Ibrahim Madkur and Su'ad Hakim, Ibn Taymiyyah was the first to be credited with labeling Ibn Arabi's thoughts of Sufism as Wahdat al-Wujud. It can be underlined that Ibn Taymiyyah hastily equated Wahdat al-Wujud with pantheism, and by implication considering it atheism. Interestingly, when Ibn Taymiyyah associates Wahdat al-Wujud with Ittihad, unificationism, William Jennings surmises that Ibn Taymiyyah took the term Wahdat al-Wujud from Ibn Sab'in, an Arabic Sufi philosopher from Andalusia, or from one of his disciples. Indeed, Ibn Sab'in used the term Wahdat al-Wujud explicitly, but he used it to describe the fundamental nature of things. Besides, he also used the term to denote the views of the saints and the sages. The common and ignorant people are dominated by the accidental, which is diversity and plurality, while the elect, those who have knowledge, are dominated by the root, which is Wahdat al-Wujud. One who remains with the root does not undergo change or displacement. He remains fixed in his knowledge and consciousness. But people living with the branch undergo displacement and change. Things become many in their eyes, so they forget and become heedless and ignorant. Somehow Ibn Taymiyyah dragged the term Wahdat al-Wujud used by Ibn Sab'in in a very specific context to the question of the doctrine of the equation of God with the universe, for which Ibn Sab'in was known as pantheist. Thus the term was used by Ibn Taymiyyah to have attacked Ibn Arabi's thoughts about Wujud, which is in fact a quite contrast to Ibn Sab'in's thought. What Ibn Taymiyyah perceives about Wahdat al-Wujud is not the same as what Ibn Arabi and his proponent understand. Ibn Taymiyyah misconstrues Wahdat al-Wujud to be pantheism, and this is as Ibn Sab'in's view, while Ibn Arabi often emphasizes the transcendence of God over nature. In Ibn Taymiyyah's view, the term Wahdat al-Wujud is completely negative, contrary to religion, and those who believe in it are infidels and heretics. He always uses the term in the form of criticism and condemnation. Nevertheless, the proponents of Ibn Arabi then do not seem to be qualms about accepting or using the term as their overall worldview. Even though the critics of Ibn Arabi consider Wahdat al-Wujud a term of blame, the proponents, or Akbariya, consider it a term of praise. One of the propagators of Ibn Arabi in the 15th century, Abdurrahman Jami, commonly speaks of the supporters of the unity of being, al-Qailun bi Wahdat al-Wujud, including commentators of Fususul Hikam. Okay, this is the plot twist. According to William Jennings' research, the first to use the term Wahdat al-Wujud explicitly was not Ibn Taymiyyah, but Ibn Arabi's closest disciple, Sadruddin al-Qunawi, several decades before Ibn Taymiyyah. And this certainly falsifies the opinion of Ibrahim Madkur and Su'ad Hakim. However, the term is used naturally by al-Qunawi when he describes the relationship between the wujud of God and oneness. In other words, he doesn't employ the term as an independent technical term. Know that Al-Haq is sheer wujud within which is no diversity, and that he is one with a true oneness, in contrast to which no manyness can be conceptualized. Call them what you like. They are not wujud, since wujud is one. Wujud cannot be perceived by a human being because he is one with a true oneness, like Wahdat al-Wujud. Nothing issues from God in respect of the wahdah of his wujud except one. It is noteworthy that Sadruddin al-Qunawi, the closest disciple of Ibn Arabi after the master's death, returned to his hometown in Anatolia and later stayed in Konya, in which he became Rumi's friend. One of the biographers of Rumi, Shamsuddin Aflaki, tells many things about the friendship of these two eminent figures, Rumi and Qunawi. We know that Rumi was a Sufi who followed the path of love, while al-Qunawi, taking lineage from Ibn Arabi, followed the path of knowledge. Then was there a spiritual and intellectual relationship between the two figures, especially with regard to the worldview of Wahdat al-Wujud. We'll talk about it in another video. Bye.